A very good evening. You're watching Primetime News on TV1. For the News First team, I'm Yuki Portia. Let's start off with a look at your headlines for tonight.
Attorney General authorizes to proscribe 11 extremist organizations. Ranjan Ramanayaka loses his seat in Parliament. Speaker instruct Election Commission to fill the vacant seat. Health workers protest in Colombo, citing various demands. Concessions provided to several industries to import palm oil.
Taking a look at your top story for tonight, the Joint Health Workers Union staged a protest in Colombo, citing several demands today.
The Joint Health Workers Union had staged the protest, citing 10 demands, including an allowance of 15,000 rupees for uniforms, overtime payments, as well as a special risk allowance for all health workers. The group marched from the Colombo National Hospital to the Presidential Secretariat, but were not allowed to discuss the matter with the President's Secretary. The protesters then blocked the main entrance and the road leading to the Presidential Secretariat. What did Rajapaksa's secretary Artigala say then? On the 23rd of March, he said that the cabinet papers would be tabled next week and not this week. The cabinet papers were tabled on the 5th of April, but none of them intervened to solve our problems. We do not have a formal list of duties. There are no recruitment procedures in action. Proper appointments have not been made for years. There is a big shortage inside hospitals. We can't work like this anymore. If we don't receive the festival advance before 10 AM tomorrow, we have informed the steps that we will take. The health workers island-wide will step down from their duties. The United Health Workers Union called off the protest today, although a solution had not been provided.
Speaker Mahinda Yapa informed Parliament today that MP Ranjan Ramanayaka's parliamentary seat would be made vacant. The Speaker said that the Secretary General of Parliament had informed the Elections Commission about the vacancy created in the House and had thereby advised the Commission to take necessary steps. Ranjan Ramanayaka, who was convicted of contempt of court, has been sentenced to 4 years imprisonment. Controversy arose when the leader of the opposition questioned the decision taken to vacate Ranjan Ramanayaka's seat in Parliament.
Remember that this is a ruling by the Court of Appeal. There is a provision to take it to the Supreme Court. Against such a backdrop, you are using clause 66D to refuse him leave and then also using the name to vacate his seat. Where is the fairness in this? Where is the justice in this?
Your explanation is misplaced. Read the ruling well. The fact that this MP seat was vacated by the ruling of the Supreme Court is there in the wording of the verdict itself.
The ruling you received is a ruling by the Court of Appeal. There is a provision to take it to the Supreme Court. How can you use 66D and move to vacate his seat? It is wrong.
Honorable Speaker, you have now given a ruling, and that too based on the verdict of a court. Let us continue with the functions of this Parliament. Are we to talk about this every day? What he is challenging is the Speaker and the judicial system of this country. Don't let him do that.
This is a question about the mandate of the people. You have an ethical responsibility to send the relevant letter after presenting it to the House of Parliament. You have decided yesterday, and before presenting it to Parliament, you have decided to send the letter last night itself. Why are you in such a rush to vacate his seat?
The opposition should listen. As per the 89th and 91st clauses, not even you can say that he will be able to occupy this seat. But this opposition cannot understand what you are saying. What you have said, Speaker, is that under 66D, this seat is vacated as he has not attended Parliament. That is mentioned here clearly.
හරි ඒ ගැන තීන්දුව දීලා ඉවරයි. තවත් දෙන්නේ නැහැ මයික් එක ඔබතුමා. දෙන්නේ නැහැ. නෑ එන්නේ. ඔබතුමා යන්න ආසනේට යන්න මන්ත්‍රීතුමා. හරි. හරි. ඔතන කෑ ගහලා වැඩක් නැහැනේ. හරි. මෙතන පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ විපක්ෂ නායකයන්ගේ ප්‍රධාන තනතුර.
The position of opposition leader is one of the primary positions in Parliament. You know the treatment that must be given to them. I do not have to explain it. Just as you give Nimal Lanza the chance, you have to do so for us too. There is a problem.
හරි බොහොම ස්තුතියි. ඔබතුමා අරුණික මනාඩු මන්ත්‍රීතුමා කතා කරන්නේ. කෑකෝ ගහලා මේ ප්‍රශ්නේ විසඳන්න බෑ. හරිද? ඔබතුමාට මයික් එක දැන් දෙපාරක් දුන්නා. හරි කියන්න බෑනේ. දැන් ඔබතුමා පිළි අරගෙන ඔබතුමාලා මැතිවරණ.
Now please withdraw the order that you have sent to the Elections Commission. This has been enacted in a wrong way. The Secretary General is aware of this. Without granting the leave, you have vacated his seat. That is wrong.
දැන් නිවාඩු අමතක කරන්න නැතුව එතුමාගේ මන්ත්‍රී ධූරය අවශ්‍ය කරලා තියෙනවා.
Meanwhile, the opposition today questioned whether the debate on the report of the Presidential Commission on political victimization will be held tomorrow. A controversy arose regarding that as well in the parliamentary chamber.
ඔබතුමාලා හෙට තීන්දුව කරන්න කොයි විවාදයකද පවත්වන්නේ. ප්‍රජාහිතය නැති කරන්න කූට කුමන්ත්‍රණයක්. ඉතින් අපි අද දැනගන්න ඕනේ හෙට ගන්නේ මොකක්ද කියලා. ඔබතුමාට උදේට කියන්නයි කියන්නේ. හරි වැඩක්. ඒ ඔබතුමා එන අද මට කරුණු ඉදිරිපත් කරනවා. ඔබතුමා වැඩ කරනකොට අපිත් එන සූදානම්. එහෙනම් අපිට හැන්දෑවට උත්තරයක් දෙන්න. හැන්දෑවට දෙන්න බෑ මම නීති.
I can't tell you this evening as I have to seek legal advice. I have to write to the Secretary of the Supreme Court to see whether these cases exist and their status and what actions have been taken. I have to get that information to comment on this.
ගැන ඒ තොරතුරු ගෙනල්ලා එපා මම අපේ කටයුතු පාලනය කරන්න බෑ. ඔබතුමා තාමෝක දැන්නේ උතන ඉඳගෙන. ඔබතුමාගේ බලය සහ වගකීම දන්නේ තියෙන කෙනෙක් කඩගාටු වෙනවා. ඔබතුමාට කඩගාටු වෙන්නත් පුළුවන් සතුටු වෙන්නත් පුළුවන්. අපි නීති අනුකූලව කටයුතු කරනවා. අපිට අද තීරණයක් ඕන. ඔබතුමා නීතිය ඉදිරිපත් කරනවා නම් අපි නීති අනුව කටයුතු කරනවා. ඔබතුමා ඊයේ දවසේ පක්ෂ
At the party leaders meeting yesterday, you promised that you will inform us of the agendas for tomorrow and the day after. This morning, you can't tell us about tomorrow's agenda tomorrow morning. You can't do that.
හෙට උදේ අපි කතා කරනවා කියලා කිව්වේ ඒකනේ. හෙට දවස ගැන හෙට උදේ දෙවෙනි වාරයේ ගන්න දෙයක් නැහැ. ඒක අපි දැන් දැනගන්න ඕන. පොයින්ට් ඔෆ් ඕඩර්. අද උදේ. ගරු කතානායකතුමනි. හරි. සභාව පක්ෂ නායක රැස්වීමේදී හෙට උදේ 10 වෙනිදා GLP මහත්මතුමා නැගිටින්න weekend agent for lunch අන්න. හරි. අපේ විපක්ෂ නායකතුමයි කාර්ය සභාවේ නියෝජ්‍ය සභාපතිතුමයි විවාදය හෙට තියෙනවද නැද්ද කියලා මම ඔබතුමාගේ අහන්න කැමතියි.
I think the Honorable Speaker will work on that and he will get back to you. I'm sorry, I'm not in a position to answer this.
It is incumbent upon the Speaker to announce to this Parliament.
So this is not a...
Please, let me finish.
This is not a point of order, Honorable Opposition Leader. This is the Honorable Member Lakshman Kiriola. Can you please speak?
You can't just say you don't know.
So,
you can't be ignorant.
Honorable Speaker has been informed on this.
Yesterday, Samik Janabalawege parliamentarian Dr. Hazardous questioned in Parliament whether a stock of hazardous fertilizer had been imported and released into the market. The Minister of Agriculture responded to the query this morning.
ලිපි වාගයක් සමාජ මාධ්‍යයට ඇතුල් කරලා තියෙනවා. මම
A certain document has been released on social media. I wish to table the document in Parliament. This says that 18,000 metric tons of PSP fertilizer were imported to the country in October 2020. The Sri Lanka Standard Institute Director General Siddhika Senaratne had said that the stocks had been tested and that the levels of lead and cadmium were above the permissible levels and that they must not be released to the market. In a letter issued under the letterhead of the Presidential Secretariat, PB Jayasundara had said that there is a shortage of fertilizer during the Maha harvesting season. The importers had said that the levels of lead and cadmium were not in excess and they had requested for the stocks to be released. Recently, we saw Senaratne saying she cannot identify the companies. Therefore, this is important. Investigations must be carried out into this as well.
ඔයාලා බලන්න ඕනේ මේ කතාවේ ඇත්තක් නැත්තක් තියනවාද කියලා.
2015 16
Fertilizer had been imported in this manner when you served as a minister in 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018 and 2019. The National Audit Office has carried out an audit into this matter. Based on tests carried out last year, it had been revealed that 81,000 metric tons of substandard fertilizer had been released to the market using 55 fake reports. I sacked 8 officers in the National Fertilizer Secretariat in connection to this. After I was informed of this matter, I contacted the Sri Lanka Standards Institute and changed the specification standards. Since we prepared the necessary specification, no one submitted tenders. All the documents that you tabled here are relating to irregularities that happened under your administration. We learnt about this after the Auditor General issued his report.
විගණකාධිපතිතුමා වාර්තාව දුන්නට පස්සේ
මේකේ තියෙන්නේ එතුමා ඉදිරිපත් කරලා තියෙන ලියුම් වලින්
The documents that I tabled in Parliament yesterday included a letter sent under the letterhead of the Presidential Secretariat signed by the President's Secretary. The letter has been dated the 9th of October 2020. It says that the Sri Lanka Standards Institute has issued an order against releasing these stocks as they contain excess levels of lead and cadmium. This is something that happened during the presidency of Gotabaya Rajapaksa.
ජනාධිපතිතුමාගේ කාලේ වෙච්ච දෙයක්.
ජනාධිපති ලේකම්වරයා කිසිසේ
The Presidential Secretariat has not issued any letter instructing to release substandard stocks of fertilizer to the market. You are referring to the stocks that were released 3 months ago.
කලින් ඔය නිකුත් කරපු පොහොර ටික පිළිබඳව ඔබතුමා කියන්නේ.
මම කිව්වේ
I am referring to something that happened in 2020. It says that samples obtained from the stock amounting to more than 18,000 metric tons had contained excess levels of lead and cadmium. Siddhika Senaratne had issued an instruction to avoid releasing those stocks to the market.
නිකුත් කරන්න එපා කියලා.
ඔබතුමා ගාව තියෙනවද ප්‍රමිති ආයතන නිකුත් කරපු ලියුම?
ඔව් තියෙනවා.
මම ඔබතුමාට දැන් එවන්නම් ප්‍රමිති ආයතනය
මම ටේබල් කරා ඊයේ. ප්‍රමිතිය
ආයතනය නිකුත් කරපු ලියුම.
The letter sent by the Sri Lanka Standards Institute says that these stocks can be used. The stocks had been released based on that letter. Let me give you the letter from the Sri Lanka Standards Institute.
මේ
මම ඔබතුමාට දෙන්නම් ප්‍රමිති ආයතන ලියුම.
නෑ මේ ප්‍රමිති ආයතනයේ තියෙන ලියුම මේ තියෙන්නේ. හැබැයි ඒකම කියනවා ඒ ආනයනය
I have with me the letter from the Sri Lanka Standards Institute. It says that tests carried out by the importers themselves had shown that the stocks had not contained excess levels of toxins. They are saying that the stocks can be released because of that. We cannot accept that stocks can be released to the market based on the tests carried out by the importers themselves. Even you will accept that the stocks must be released only if it meets national standards. If it happened 5 years ago, those officials must be punished. But this matter has happened in 2020.
මම කියන්නේ 2020 කතාව.
තමුන්නාසලා කැබිනට් එකේ හිටියේ නැද්ද?
Weren't you in the cabinet? Substandard medicines were brought down for cancer patients. Harmful stocks of fertilizer were imported as well. If necessary, we can list out the products that were imported in this manner under your government.
කියන්න. තමුන්නාසලා වරුදු පහේ මොනවද ගෙනාවේ කියලා.
කවුරු වැරද්ද
A wrong is a wrong regardless of who does it. It does not matter whether it was those in the former or current government. Let us ask the Auditor General to conduct a full-scale audit into this.
සභානායකතුමා
Minister Bandula Gunawardhan expressed in Parliament today, although a ban on palm oil is currently in effect, relief will be provided for certain industries in this regard.
මේ දැන් අතිගරු ජනාධිපතිතුමා විසින් කටුපොල් වගාව හා
The President imposed a ban on palm oil cultivation and palm oil imports. The second it happened, a new discourse emerged saying the bakery industry and the biscuit industry is destroyed. That is unfair. We will provide permits to those in the bakery and biscuit industry to source palm oil required for their products. Anyone can make a request from the Secretary to the Ministry of Finance to import palm oil.
තමන්ගේ කර්මාන්තයට අවශ්‍ය ෆාම් ඔයිල් ගෙනා ගැනීම සඳහා
පාම් ඔයිල් තහනම් කරලා මේ බේකරි වලටයි අරකටයි මේකටයි කියලා වෙනම බලපත්‍ර දුන්නොත් ආයි ඔය කියන දේ වෙන්නේ නැහැ.
දැනටත් ෆාම් ඔයිල් ෆැක්ටරි
Palm oil factories exist in the country. There is one even in my hometown. Permission has been granted to cultivate many acres of palm oil, and now the harvest will be reaped. Can the oil derived from those harvests be used in the country? As a government, we will not work to stifle any sort of production occurring within the country. If such manufacturing is to happen, it should be done according to the highest possible standards and introduced to the market.
However, pursuant to an inquiry made by Newsfirst, the Ministry of Finance confirmed the gazette pertaining to the banning of palm oil has been sent to the subject minister, who is the Prime Minister, for his signature. Protests against the microfinance debt trap took place amidst massive controversy surrounding carcinogenic coconut oil and harmful fertilizer stocks today. The Satyagraha launched in Hinguraguda over this matter entered its 30th day today. Members of several groups, including the Movement to Protect Human Rights and Public Assets and the Centre for Labour Struggle, engaged in a protest march at the Hinguraguda town yesterday. They offered loans at hefty interest rates. Although they initially said that small loans would be offered, why did they give us eventually? Isn't it true what they have given us has trapped us and exposed our lives to risk? Why did they introduce a debt trap to our neighborhood? Nearly 2.9 million families across the country have been burdened and are under tremendous pressure due to microfinance loans. As a result of that pressure, nearly 200 women in Sri Lanka have ended their lives. These are the deaths that have only been reported. Meanwhile, the Women for Rights movement staged a silent protest in Kadadolaha area in Anuradhapura, demanding authorities to scrap the microfinance system. The previous and the present government came into power by pledging to provide waivers on microfinance loan payments and to grant relief to the debtors. However, they haven't been able to fulfill that promise.
Meanwhile, the cost of living in the country was also debated in Parliament today.
They are unable to contend with the fact that we have offered a relief package. Regardless of how much you insult me, my parents or anyone else, we have done this with the best interest of the people of this country at heart. Minister Bandula Gunawardena said the biggest lie in this country on the 1st of April. The so-called relief package that they are offering. He has said that 3 kilos of rice is enough for one family for 14 days. What is the way in which they have calculated this? I am asking you. Now 3 kilos of rice is 3,000 grams. When you divide that over the course of 14 days, it leaves 214 grams for an average family of 4. Therefore, per day it will only leave 64 grams of rice. This means each person will only get about 17 grams of rice. Will your stomach be filled with 17 grams of rice? I would like to ask whether you think the people of this country are birds.
එක්කයෙකුට සහල් ග්‍රෑම් 17ක් වගේ එකක් තමයි ලැබෙන්නේ. එතකොට මං අහන්නේ දැන් මේ ඔබතුමාගේ කුස පිරනවද මේ සහල් ග්‍රෑම් 17කින් දැන් මේ ගේ කුරුල්ලෝද මේ ඉන්නේ මේ රටේ ජනතාව ගේ කුරුල්ලෝද වටුවෝද කොබෙයියෝද පරෙයියෝද කාකේකුණත් මං හිතන්නේ ග්‍රෑම් 17ක් තියෙන්න ඕනේ. ඉස්සෙල්ලා මේක ඔප්පු කරන්න එපා.
First, this has to be proven. Don't just gather something you have seen somewhere and repeat it at this noble forum. You must reveal where one has made this statement and then show it here. Now you are the person who also brought this story about 2,500 rupees, aren't you? You put together the equations to arrive at that conclusion too. Now you are saying that you didn't say what I alleged. Did you also not speak of this 2,500?
I
presented a cabinet paper that students can survive without dying on 2,500, but that allowance need to be raised to 3,000. It is a misinterpretation of this that he is repeating here. Do not make vilified statements. Learn to act in parliament as an intelligent member. Do not act like a fool.
මඩගහන්න එපා පුරුදු වෙන්න ප්‍රබුද්ධ മന്ത്രിවරයෙක් ලෙස පාර්ලිමේන්තුවක ඇසිරෙන්න ඕඩේක් ලෙස ඇසිරෙන්න එපා. දැන් ඒක අතට වේල් තුනක් කන්නේ නැහැලු රටේ ජනතාව. ඒක රීති ප්‍රශ්නයක් නෙමෙයි.
The foundation stone for a project to provide drinking water to 350 families in Panduwas Nuwara was laid by the Prime Minister's son Rohitha Rajapaksa today.
The cost of the project, estimated at 61 million rupees, will be borne by the Department of National Community Water Supply. Officials say that the project is expected to be completed in 6 months. I had to leave early because my second child is due to be born during the course of today. I set aside time with great difficulty and came here. To be honest, even if we are busy or having personal work to be done, we set all of that aside to serve the people in these villages. We have had to bear all kinds of criticism from the media and in social media. They say that as a government and as a president, we have done nothing. I believe the main reason for this is the communication between our media and our political authorities. How is the discussion around our work created? Although we speak about our work within our villages, on the surface and at a national level, we will not become famous. I believe this is the main reason for all this talk about the government failing.
In more local news, Attorney General Dapulu Dilivera has authorized the proscription of 11 Islamic organizations connected to extremist activities.
The United Tawhid Jamaat, Ceylon Tawhid Jamaat, Sri Lanka Tawhid Jamaat and the All Ceylon Tawhid Jamaat are among the proscribed organizations in the country. The list also includes the Jamiatul Ansari Sunnatul Muhammadiyya, Darul Adhar at Jamiul Adhar, and the Sri Lanka Islamic Student Movement alias the Jamia organization. In addition to that, the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, also known as the ISIS, the Al-Qaeda, Save the Pearls and Super Muslim organizations have also been banned in the country.
MP Rauf Hakim made a revelation in Parliament today during the debate on the report of the Presidential Commission of Inquiry that probed the April 21st attacks.
Now, Minister Sarath Veerasekara says that they have identified the mastermind behind the attacks as Naufar Maulavi. I can tell you he is not the mastermind. He may have manipulated the bombings, but he is not the mastermind. Zahran can be the lead actor, Sara the lead actress, who is also now missing. We must find out who the producer was. I must also say that there is a doubt whether the Israeli intelligence was behind this attack as well. Our intelligence service questions this person named Abu Hind. When we received intelligence from the Indian side about this issue, they were asked whether the source was wiretapped and they responded saying that it was actually a live source. This means they were referring to someone in this group. This information has come from a live source and it remains a question to me as to why they were unable to look into this information further. Our state intelligence has mollycoddled many of those involved in these attacks. Ahmed Lebbe Mohammed Niaz, who died in Saindamardu, who gave them weapons training. Hayatu Muhammad Ahmed Milhan, he is someone under our arrest. Ami Mohideen, even he is being held as an informant as opposed to being arrested. And finally it was revealed that even Ami Mohideen is involved in this. All these people have been mollycoddled and it turns out it was people in this network that has carried out this deed. Then doesn't a reasonable degree of doubt arise? We must now look into both the involvement of the Israeli intelligence and Abu Hind. They have already announced that they have found the mastermind, but he is only the scriptwriter. Both the producer and the director remain free. This happened on the 21st of April, but the committee was appointed more than 7 months later. During that time, evidence can be destroyed, people can flee overseas, and things can be covered up. Those who didn't take swift measures are now alleging that this tragedy allowed the government to win a 2/3 majority and even the presidency. We would have received the same result even without such an incident. The people realized that.
I cannot and will not defend or support any terrorist even if my life was on the line. Honorable Vimal Veeravansa has been making controversial statements at my expense. He says that I was in contact with Zahran even when there is no evidence because I or my brother had never known or met Zahran in our lives. I would say that if the government can keep their own representatives like Vimal Veeravansa in check and prevent them from inciting racism, the de-radicalization program will be half complete. If you antagonize repeatedly an entire community for the crimes of a few, you will note their lack of willingness to stand by you. Eventually they will get more and more radicalized and stand against you. It is not like we haven't seen this before. It is that we haven't learned from this mistake.
Moving on, the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery and corruption says bribery cases which were dropped based on technical reasons will be filed again.
කොමිෂන් සභා පනත සම්බන්ධයෙන් ඉතාම මෑතකදී
With regard to the Commissions Act, there was a decision taken by the Supreme Court very recently that all three commissioners who are part of the Commission will be able to prosecute as deemed necessary. When such contentions occur, we rectify the technical errors and file the case again with the signatures of all three commissioners in accordance with the decision of the Supreme Court. I think it is about that latent period that many are pointing fingers at us and accusing us.
බොහෝ අය කතා කරලා අපෙන් ප්‍රශ්න කරන්නේ අපිට චෝදනා කරන්නේ.
The Department of Forest Conservation has issued a clarification on media reports based on deforestation in the country.
Issuing a statement, the Department of Forest Conservation has clarified matters pertaining to 9 media reports published recently. The reports and the clarifications are as follows. Number 1. The construction of a hotel in Singaraja. The construction is taking place on an abandoned private land. 3 constructions are taking place on the land. The approval of the Pradeshia Sabha had been obtained to construct the house. Number 2. Deforestation due to the Upper Alahara project. It is a development project of the government. Only permitted trees have been felled in line with the project. Number 3. Deforestation in the Hinidum-Kanda Reserve. The land in question is a private property. Around 15 trees have been cut down. Number 4. Environmental destruction in the Dotalua area in Kitulgala. Land to be given to the Forest Conservation Department for conservation purposes. Legal action against individual involved in carrying out development on the land. Number 5. Unlawful clearing of lands in the Chunnakadu Reserve, Kantale. Several entities attempted to forcefully acquire the land. The Department of Forest Conservation has taken steps to curb such activities. Number 6. Environmental destruction in the Rambakanoya. The land belongs to the Mahavali Authority. Discussions are underway for future measures. Number 7. Cutting down mangroves in the Ambakandavila Reserve to construct a road leading up to a shrimp farm. The land does not belong to the reserve. Number 8. Bare patches of land in the Singharaja forest. 4 out of 7 empty patches of land, as shown in television media reports, have been identified. Landslides have taken place in 3 locations. 1 land is a pasture. Number 9. Remarks made by Puptu Jagoda of the Frontline Socialist Party on the 5th of April. Forest Conservation Department denies that 62,000 acres of forest land have been cleared over the past 15 months. The following visuals of the current state of the Amban River, a vital source of water which nourishes the Parakrama Samudra, Giritale, Minneria, Kantale and a number of other valleys. Residents of the area say that the banks of the Amban River, which flows through the territory of the Alahara Divisional Secretariat, have been seized by sand and gem miners.
It has been about 49 years since I settled in Bakamuna. The river, which was about 100 meters wide, is now about 500 meters wide. The whole bank has been destroyed. The river expanded when they cut the river bank. Now the river flows everywhere. The whole network is destroyed. Everything is done consciously. It cannot be done in a secretive manner. You have to use a backhoe to dig it. These are businesses that are organized and carried out with the blessings of those in the higher-ups.
The people of Atragalava in Alahara point out many valuable plants including kumbuk and kalumadiria have been destroyed on both banks of the Amban River.
These are not things you can do in a day. These have been going on for months. These are 100 to 200-year-old trees. Is there a point in planting all these new trees?
Locals remain hopeful for swift intervention by authorities to immediately halt the destruction occurring in the banks of the Ambang River.
A heated situation arose at the Development Committee meeting of the Paduka Divisional Secretariat today.
The Pradesh Sabha members opposed the chairman of the Padukka Development Committee, citing that he operates according to his own whims and fancies. The people of the Padukka Pradesh Sabha lamented that development was not taking place, so the president appointed me as the chairman of the development committee. We operated many coordination committees successfully. However, only a few SLPP MPs behaved in a manner that obstructed the duties of state officials, and as a result, we had to end the meeting. Chairman of the Development Committee is behaving in a manner that violates state policies. On 2 holidays, on the 20th of February and 27th of March, he had convened a group of people and had made a proposal that could undermine a proposal that was made on a regional level. If he is going to tarnish the proposals of the people, that is undemocratic. Thereafter, MP Jagat Kumara left the premises amidst opposition from the masses. Amid heightening displays of opposition by the masses over the ad hoc actions of MPs, the woes of farmers island-wide aggravate each day. In the Ampara district, paddy cultivation is the lifeblood of over 10,000 farming families. They have tilled their lands for the Yala season with mounds of expectation amidst a plethora of hardships. Farmers have decided to conclude sowing paddy by the 10th of April during a meeting held before cultivating for the season. However, at the subsequent District Agriculture Committee meeting, the Assistant Director of the Seed Committee for the Ampara district had stated that seeds could not be released.
The Director of Agriculture, who came to the District Seed Committee, says that paddy seeds are not being planted at present and that there is nowhere to give us the seeds.
Farming communities lament, although sufficient amounts of water have been accumulated, they are now facing difficulties owing to the lack of seeds.
Interest payments for fixed deposits of electricity consumers officially commenced today.
අපි ප්‍රකාශයට පත් කරන විදුලි පරිභෝගික තැන්පතු සඳහා පොලිය ගෙවීම සඳහා අපිට බලය ලැබෙන්නේ ශ්‍රී ලංකා විදුලි බල පනතේ.
The power we have to publish the interest rates for electrical deposits comes from the Article 28 of the Sri Lanka Electricity Act. Electricity suppliers have been working together to develop a plan to generate profits from this. The system will be presented before LECO and be given to consumers today. Around 1.2 million rupees will be handed over to consumers through this effort.
කටයුතු කරනවා. එමගින් රුපියල් කෝටි 120ක පමණ මුදලක් අනාගතයේදී විදුලි පරිභෝගික අතර පත් වීමට නියමිතයි.
The Advocata Institute launched the Badhkari Indicator, which is a novel policy tool to track everyday food price changes. The event was held at the Tulip Hall of the BMICH this afternoon.
The latest policy product launched by the Advocata Institute tracks the average retail prices of a basket of goods and provides an indication of how much prices have changed over time. The latest policy product launched by the Advocata Institute tracks the average retail prices of a basket of goods and provides an indication of how much prices have changed over time. With the use of such tools, anyone including policymakers and politicians will have access to track price fluctuations of goods. The Badhkari indicator attempts to provide a policy direction while highlighting the importance of affordability of food. Advocata Institute compares their Badhkari indicator to the Big Mac Index by The Economist in the US. The panelists for the discussion held this afternoon were Deshal Dimel, an economist, Rehana Tawfiq Zain, an economic researcher, and Nakia Shiraz, a researcher. The discussion was moderated by Anita Varusovitana, the research manager at the Advocata Institute.
And with that, it's a wrap of primetime news here on TV1. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Yuki Poshia, along with our sign language interpreter, Brian De Cruz via Zoom. Take care and good night.